Sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
You sneaky, you're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles. So
Well, the frickin' God!
You're ready to fight, aren't you? I can feel it!
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no integrity.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right, elbows up.
Elbows up.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
So the answer to that is to stop being stupid.
My great pleasure to introduce my husband, the Prime Minister who will make Canada strong. And Canada
I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward.
Let's fucking go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
What's going on, ladies? Special live stream today. Danielle Smith addressing the province of Alberta, her people, and technically the nation, because a lot is hanging in the balance as to what happens after today. Now, before we get into that, I know I'm kind of jazzing it up a bit, but let's be real here. What we know is going to happen, at least what I presume is going to happen, is what many people have said in the comments over the last few videos. Danielle's going to play ball. She doesn't want to appear to be fanning the flames of, or stoking the flames, I should say, of separatism. So it's going to be I'm going to be real curious to see which way this goes today. I'm hoping I'm proven wrong and that Danielle comes out saying, look, people are fed up. They've had enough. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's wait and see what's going on. As I get to that, is somebody saying I'm intermittent? Okay. Let's get a roll call. Let's get a roll call. We got almost 1,000 people in here right off the kick of the stream. Let's get a roll call going. Let's see if we can get somebody from every province in the country watching it on this live stream. I'll try to get to everybody I can while we're waiting for it to start. Ingrid with $5 super chat. LFG, love our family here. Thank you so much. Let's get it going on. Let's see what we can do. Carnes Gal, Carney's or Kinnearasgull. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, Peterborough, Ontario. Welcome into the stream. What do we got here? Michael saying it's choppy. Hopefully it picks up. It should be okay. I mean, I'm showing strong signal. Hopefully everything's okay. I don't want to be intermittent with people. Hopefully you guys are okay here. Rodney coming in from Newfoundland. Welcome in. We've got Mystical joining us from Cybertron. I've got a favor. How? Welcome in. Good to have you here. Somebody's saying there's sound issues. Are you guys? Is this for real? Are you guys still having issues, or what are we doing here? Misfit FPS coming in from Fort Nelson. We've got TGL coming in from Lloyd. Welcome in. Kurt saying you're fine. Okay. Well, there we go. Eugene coming in from Nova Scotia. Welcome in. Arctic Ian from Nunavut. Welcome in as well. Let's get your pocket is intermittent. There you go. Canadian Freedom Right coming in from KW Ontario. Welcome in. We got Leslie coming in from Calgary. We got Ed from Alberta. Welcome in. OAO saying today would have been a great day to wear that Borat lime green mankini as a stream host. It's never happening. Not going to happen. I don't know why there's this fascination to make women jealous and men ask questions. Ryan's tuning in from Alberta. Welcome in. Carnage Carney coming in from Calgary, of course. He had an awesome comment on one of our videos today. Oh my God, that's just awesome. I'll try and pull it up a little later. But shout out to Carnage Carney. Welcome into the stream. Michael's coming in from Ontario. We've got Sweet Leaf coming in from Windsor, Ontario. We've got ProPass coming in from Yukon. Welcome in. Sylvester from Watertown, Ontario. Welcome in. We've got Alberta Crazy Cat Lady coming in from Piers, Alberta. I Stand My Grounds joining us from Camrose. Fubar coming in from Vulcan. Welcome in. Good to have you here. Tessa coming in from Olds. A lot of Alberta folks, and rightfully so. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of Alberta peeps in this stream today. We got Ingrid and Charlie joining us from Okotoks, Alberta with the LFGs. My favorite mod named Ingrid and her husband, Charlie. Welcome in to both of you. Always good to have you guys here. Carl in from New Brunswick. We got Spencer coming in from Saskatchewan. Welcome in. It's good to have you here. RW coming in from Ontario. We got Terry Ann watching from Saskatchewan as well. Again, lots hanging in the balance, not just for Alberta, the whole country, including Saskatchewan. Let's go. Kitty the Prepping Cat coming in from Tweed, Ontario. We got Luca from Vancouver. Paul coming in from St. Vital, Winnipeg. Thank you so much for joining us today. Reg joining us from Spruce Grove. We got Allison. Hey, from Calgary. Hey. Welcome in. It's good to have you here. Guys, I got to get caught up with the chat. We got to get this stream going. Sorry to anybody I've missed. I know you guys love chiming in on those roll calls. Martin, becoming a new member of the Patriots Club. Thank you so much. Welcome to the club. Good to have you in here. Hit that thumbs up. If you haven't, hit the like button down below if you haven't already. It's going to get the stream out to those who aren't aware that we're live, who are going to come in to see what's happening here on the Fringe today. Again, I want to ask you guys some questions before we get into this, because I want to know your position on this. I'm going to sound like a bit of a jerk for a second, and you'll have to excuse me, but I want to be real and I want to be transparent, because I have to admit that after playing it safe in the federal election, something's going to happen today. Throughout the federal election, people were saying, well, Pierre's got to watch what he says because he doesn't want to upset his base. He doesn't want to turn the tide of certain votes in certain ridings. That's why he's saying what he's saying. Well, the final result of that is that it didn't bode well for Pierre. Like it or not, that's where it ended. Now, were mistakes made? Yes. Were they made by him? I don't believe so. I think they were made by his team. The problem with Danielle and what we're getting into today is, again, people saying, well, she's got to play ball with the federal government. She's got to do things a certain way. She doesn't want to fan the flames of, sorry, I keep saying fan the flames. Fanning them would be putting them out. She doesn't want to stoke the flames of separatism. But for how long? Here's my question. For how long are we going to make excuses for our politicians not having a backbone to say what they're thinking rather than what they think everybody wants to hear? How long are we going to put up with that for? Before we finally put our foot down and say, hey, you got a mandate from us. We've had enough. We want out of here. When are you going to say something? I understand there's certain laws. I understand that there's certain reasons that Danielle can't come straight out. But if she goes towards Mark Carney, one of two things is going to happen today. One thing guaranteed. Danielle Smith is going to piss off one side of her base today. The question is, which side is it going to be? Is she going to piss off the separatists that won out of Alberta by working with the Canadian government? Or is she going to piss off just about everybody else who's not on the side of separatism, who doesn't understand the reasons or the laws and as to why Alberta would want to separate? Is she going to piss off that side of her base? Either way, today's press conference and the can of worms she opened by changing the referendum laws is going to affect her going into the next election. This is scary because this means that a referendum either has to be triggered before the next provincial election, or there's a slight possibility Naheed Nenshit could be the next ruler of Alberta. And if he gets in, nothing's going to happen for us. We all know that. We all know that. Somebody's saying Carney's also responsible for the Sith rising. Well, I wouldn't doubt that. Enough is enough. What are people expecting people to wait until everyone is broken bankrupt? Says Lonnie Johnson. Or is that Lanny? I'm sorry. It might be Lonnie. I apologize. My glasses are all messed up today. I come down with a little bit of a flu. Lots happened in the last few hours, folks. I'm not trying to make excuses. Just bear with me. Ken with a $13.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. I'm sorry it doesn't show up in the streaming software, but thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Mildred saying it's our the Albertans' choice. Now that is a true statement. I do support that. And I do appreciate Danielle leaving it up to us by saying, look, I'm not going to push it one way or another. This is a mandate from Albertans. And if they put a question on the table, we have to listen to it. The biggest issue I have is that we have a decision to make moving forward. The problem that I have is that if Danielle comes out in any form of support of the Carney government, saying, look, we're willing to work with them, we're willing to right the wrongs and fix things and mend the relationship between Ottawa and Alberta, I'm sorry. Call me a jerk if you want to. The last 10 years has been enough for me. That something has to come back. We need our comeuppance, our penance, our reparations for everything that the Liberal government has done to Alberta, not just over the last few decades, but in the last 10 years in particular. People are out for blood. People have had enough. We all know that Mark Carney has no choice going into his tenure as Prime Minister. He has to toe the line. He has to find a way to work with Alberta. Because if he sinks the country, it ruins his shares. It ruins Brookfield. It ruins businesses for his friends. Ultimately, what they're going to do now is use Justin Trudeau as a scapegoat to say, well, I can turn things around. I can make them better. There's people out there. I've actually heard people, after stealing Pierre Poilievre's platform and making his address, saying, hey, you know what? Maybe he's not going to be that bad. And I can't believe that after the last 10 years, so many people are so quick to buy into that and say, well, like I hear more people complaining about Pierre getting a by-election than Mark Carney being Prime Minister of Canada. I hear more people making excuses to say maybe things are going to be okay because he seems to want to fix the economy. And all I keep pointing out is, have you guys forgotten he's pitched Pierre's entire platform? In fact, David Cochrane, of all people, the snobbiest snob at CBC, had to turn around and say, this sounds like Pierre's axe the tax, build the homes, and stop the crime. It's exactly what it is. He stole it. He's a plagiarist. And so many people are going to just huff those farts and say, oh, that's okay. As long as Mark Carney, doesn't bring the carbon tax back, and as long as Justin Trudeau's gone, and people are so quick to forget that almost every MP in that House of Commons for the Liberal is not only tied to Chinese interference, we still don't know the names, but they're the exact same MPs that Justin Trudeau had for the last 10 years. Some of them brought back after having to resign. So why is anybody giving these people slack? This is my concern with Danielle Smith because, look, I know she has the best intentions. I love Danielle. I've spoken to her many times, both on and off stream. But Danielle, if you side with Mark Carney, I feel like it's such a slap in the face to Albertans. I understand rhetoric. I understand getting along and trying to, let's all put our differences aside and work for the betterment of the country. But the problem I have as an Albertan is that throughout the pandemic, we were bent over. People's bank accounts were frozen. We still have Albertan citizens on the longest mischief trial of all time being threatened with jail for mischief. Some people haven't been able to repair their lives. Some people can't afford homes. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford to pay their rent. They've got multiple jobs. Now, Danielle has done a fantastic job defending the rights of Albertans, and she's done more than pretty much any premier, I think, since Ralph Klein. But when is Danielle going to pull a Ralph Klein and say, you know what? Enough is enough. I understand your sentiment to want to work with Alberta, but what she should be pulling out today, what I hope she pulls out, is a little bit of a tactical move to say, listen, I gave you guys a 6-month timeline. I pulled out a list of demands, and if you don't want to meet those demands, I will cease working with you. Work with them in the meantime. Say we're prepared to work with the government if they're going to give Albertans a better deal. But if it's more word salad, I'm not interested. I'm not buying it. If those demands are not met to the letter in 6 months, full civil war. Tell me if that makes sense. Snow 181, $5 super chat. Danielle has to walk a tightrope until a referendum happens. She doesn't really have a mandate to work for it until she has to work within the system. So I understand that, but my question is this turning into like I don't disagree with you. Thank you for the super chat. I don't disagree with you. The reason I'm asking this is because is it turning into what we did with Pierre, where we're saying, oh, look, Pierre has to talk bad about Donald Trump because, Mark Carney's doing it and, he's got to appease the voters of Toronto and things like that. Like, I'm just asking if we're getting back into that path of making excuses for piss poor performance. That's what I'm trying to ask you guys. I hope not. I really hope not. Reg becoming a member for 12 months here at the Patriots Club. Thank you so much. A whole year. Happy anniversary. Do we want to stay on a sinking ship or build an Alberta super icebreaker and go forward for our future? I honestly would love to see more of a Western alliance. I would love to see BC minus, woke Vancouver, Alberta, some of the Northwest Territories up to the Yukon, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Even though Northern Manitoba voted Liberal, I'd like to see Manitoba get on board so that we can build pipelines to Churchill, get icebreakers, really push out our economy. And that doesn't mean we're landlocked if we separate. There are other ways to get our oil out. It would just be nice to have options. Free men die free, $10 super chat. You can't comply your way out of tyranny. I see all of this talk about separating. Now that you have, if it fails, they'll seek to stomp you down hard. The real conversation is how brave all of you will be. I fully agree. Thank you for the $10 super chat. We also have Suna Soul Silver with $5 super chat. Either way, Alberta have had enough, and I feel either an announcement will add fuel to the fire. Decent people always get punished in Canada. And that's true. So again, this is kind of like what I was saying earlier. It's you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That's why I think no matter what Danielle says today, one half of her base is going to be angry with her. They're going to be a little perturbed. The question is what side of it is going to be upset? Jancor with a $5 super chat. I'm terrified of Carney. He's very wef. He will decimate the Canadian economy. I couldn't agree more. The problem with Mark Carney, he's already talking about censorship bills, by the way. He wants to stomp out YouTube. He wants to get rid of X. He wants to make sure that you have to go to his government paid propagandists, his mainstream prostitute shills to get the news instead of coming here. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit it now. Make sure you hit it. We're so close to 100,000, folks. Noel with a $2 super chat. American here, your election is more spicy than ours. I think it is because it's not so cut and dry. There's a lot of problems within Canadian Confederacy. One of them is we don't have the Electoral College. We don't have a failsafe in our elections to make sure people's votes are being counted equally. What we have in Canada is seat delegation. Provinces that are tiny and microscopic have more seats than giant superpowers like Alberta. It doesn't make sense. One small portion of the country, near Toronto and Southern Ontario, decides the outcome of who runs our country. How is that fair for the rest of the people who are told they need to do their due diligence, they need to get out and vote, they need to do their job as a Canadian citizen when they feel that their vote doesn't matter? You need fair representation in government or else it's time to go. Snow181 with another $5 super chat. I agree, but trying to judge her before referendum is doing everyone a disservice. We can't get scorched earth on what could be our best allies. No, I agree. So again, I'm not trying to discredit Danielle. I'm not trying to mull her down. I think if anybody here is sitting with an open mind to what we're going to see today, I'm not talking about myself and I'm not talking about the viewers on this live stream. But when you look at the push for separation, when you look at how angry people are, what I'm asking you, the viewer, is if Danielle says today we're prepared to work with Mark Carney's government, for those who can't discern that she's walking said tightrope, my concern is what that means to those who are pro-separatist. It's more, what does that do to her votes now when it comes time for her to run against Naheed Nenshi. Because the last thing I want is that purple dinosaur F word getting into power in Alberta. He'll decimate this province. Mark Carney will look like nothing compared to what Nenshi will do to Alberta. If you appease the separatists in this press conference, then what about the people who are anti-separation? Right? That's why I'm saying it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully she can put a spin on it where nobody gets pissed off. I sure hope that's the case. But what I'm saying is that I personally feel that you're going to have people on one side of the fence mad by the end of this press conference. I hope that's not the case. Fujin to Rojin. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. What you mean 100,000? You already have your million play button behind you? Yeah, okay. So for anybody who doesn't know about that, because I get it all the time. People are always like, it's so deceptive. My daughter, this is on a canvas. My daughter made me this for Father's Day. Last year, my niece came down with leukemia. This community raised a boatload of money to help out the family at their dire hour, their 11th hour, their time of need. My daughter was so proud of this community. She was proud of everything we did on this channel, everything that I continue to do on this channel. All my kids want to do is see that silver play button, and they're going to see it really soon by the looks of it. So that's fantastic. I hang this up here as a reminder to my community just how much it means to people. I've had so many viewers tell me that their kids watch these streams, even though I say kids shouldn't be around politics. What better place to get educated on them, right, than an over-opinionated blowhard? But yes, that is why the gold play button that says 1 million subscribers is there. My daughter made that hoping that one day we get there. I get she doesn't understand numbers, or that, the odds of this channel ever getting there are pretty small to near impossible. But I'm happy to have it here. I'm happy to have it on the wall. Lords of Mule. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. $5 super chat. I can't wait to see the shit show at the throne speech on the 27th of this month with the king coming. Carney already pissed off the eastern provinces or eastern separatists. Yeah, Mark Carney's not doing himself any favors by having the king show up. I don't know why that's happening. Again, people aren't very happy about it. It's gonna be nuts. We're gonna be covering all that. What's interesting to think about this summer as we wait for this press conference to start, because again, it's starting in about 5 minutes. Our politicians have been they've been off work for almost a year. And when I say a year, you think about what happened in the House of Commons. I mean, they broke for summer last year, came back, were in session for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then Trudeau prorogued Parliament because he didn't want to give over SEC documents. We haven't had government essentially working since last summer. It's been a year. And now they're going to come back. Mark Carney's coming in on the 27th. They're going to come back to the House for 2 more weeks? And then they're going to take off again for the summer. I think they should have to work through the summer given all the time they've had off. However, they'll leave again for the summer. So I raised the question that I've asked on multiple streams. What do we really need the government for if this country was okay to run for the last year without them in power? And why do we pay them so much damn money to do their jobs? What are we doing here? I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Poetry George, I think it's the first time I've seen him in here. Thank you for the $20 super chat. What I'm very interested in seeing is Alberta, including the other provinces, trying to bypass the various First Nation treaties. There we go. In their own areas. Will they be able to do it, or will they hit massive roadblocks? They're not going to, and I'll tell you why. In fact, I'll show it while we're waiting for the press conference to start. If you haven't been following Keith Wilson, a number of other constitutional lawyers who are talking about what's going on in separatism, that's always what a lot of people go to. And it's fine. People need to get educated, and I've got no issues talking about education. But you've got Jeffrey Rath, who's been leading the charge right now on separatism in Alberta, talking about many people bringing that up. Now, he doesn't educate too much into this, but they do know the laws. They do know the rules. I'm going to bring it in so you guys can see this clip before we get started on the live stream, just to give you a little bit, because a lot of people keep bringing this up in my comment section. They keep saying, well, it's the First Nations land. It's this, it's that. Let's hear what Jeffrey Rath has to say about it.
But I found it interesting that the story coming out of the Calgary Herald about 3 First Nation chiefs are issuing stark warnings that their treaty rights predate Alberta's entry into the Confederation. And I thought, do they realize that Jeffrey Rath is a litigator for First Nations? So what are you doing about that to take that into consideration?
Yeah, I think that the Alberta Prosperity Project will be writing a letter to the chiefs today explaining to them, first of all, that the reason that APP was founded separate and apart from some of the other independence groups was out of concern for the fact that other independence groups in Alberta weren't taking the issue of treaty and Aboriginal rights and Indigenous rights in Alberta seriously. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are not educated in this area that think that Alberta independence means you wave a fairy wand and somehow or another Indians cease to exist or First Indigenous people cease to exist in Alberta and their rights cease to exist. That's simply a non-starter. So the reason I got involved and was involved in founding APP, along with Lawrence Courteray, a former vice chief of the Assembly First Nations, et cetera, was to make sure that there was a vehicle for Alberta independence that had a strong foundation of respect for the Indigenous rights of the Indigenous people of Alberta built into the core of the organization, which is what APP is all about. We actually get ovations from people when we talk about how strong APP and how strong an independent Alberta is going to be in support of Indigenous rights. I mean, this is, like, I've been litigating against Canada my entire working career. I can tell you that Canada by far treats the Indigenous people of Alberta worse than it treats Albertans.
But so Rath has a really good point here. Now, I've seen in the comments as we've been showing this that people saying Keith Wilson needs to head up what's happening. Absolutely. Well, I think Keith Wilson, this is just my observation. I'm not stating on his behalf. I think Keith Wilson must have some form because he's been very vocal about everything that's going on. He's sharing out everything about Jeffrey Rath. Keith either strongly supports what Jeffrey Rath is doing or he's a little bit involved. At least I would hope he is, because Keith is also a constitutional lawyer. He knows a lot, about what's going on. And I think this is going to be beneficial. Now, again, they don't go into all the bullet points as to how it can or can't be done. But this is a guy who's been litigating for First Nations for a long time, and he's trying to head the charge, especially on education, for what's going on. Again, if you want to go learn more about all this, they do have a lot of information on albertaprosperityproject.com. You can go and check that out. They've got video clips, they've got articles, they've got information showing you why it is that they're taking their time getting this together. Well, you have to remember when we go to the point of if a vote were to go through. Now, what I understand from the law again is that what Keith Wilson has said is that if the vote reaches a certain threshold where we're told, yes, it satisfies the question of should Alberta stay, however that question is put together, the federal government, First Nations, and those in charge of leading the referendum must sit at the table to start negotiations. If those transfer payments that we give to British Columbia are no longer going out at that point because we're separating, and you sit down with First Nations, what kind of deals do you think could be done, especially when Jeffrey Rath says that the federal government treats the First Nations worse than they do Albertans? What if Albertans extended them a profit share on the oil? What if they extended them more money out of the transfer payments that we're already giving to other provinces? I'm sure something could be negotiated. And it's also been stated in other broadcasts and other interviews with Keith Wilson, should they decide, hey, this isn't working for us, we want to remain part of Canada, we want to stay in Canada. The same thing happened in Quebec during their referendum. First Nations said we want to stay. It was all up for debate. Now, Danielle Smith is just taking the stage. I'm going to cut out and we're going to get to her. I'll get to Super Chats after, folks. Thank you so much. Let's hear what Danielle has to say.
We have fought wars and died defending Canada. We've opened our doors wide for millions of our fellow Canadians searching for opportunity, many of whom stay and become Albertan, and many who return home to their native province. All have been welcomed with open arms. Our province has contributed hundreds of billions of dollars more to the federal treasury for use in other parts of the country than we'll ever receive back in benefits. We have allowed this to occur because, quite frankly, we know how blessed our province is with an endowment of natural resources that no other country on earth possesses. And we want all of our friends, families, and fellow Canadians across the country to benefit from it. We don't ask for special treatment or handouts. We just want to be free. free to develop and export that incredible wealth of resources we have for the benefit of our families and future generations, free to pursue opportunities with the ideals of entrepreneurship, hard work, and innovation that have become synonymous with the name of our province, freedom to choose how best to provide healthcare, education, and other needed social services to our people, even if it's done differently than what Ottawa has in mind. Strong and free is more than just our provincial motto. It represents who we are and how we want to live as a people. And that is why Albertans are so frustrated with the direction of our country. For the last 10 years, successive Liberal governments in Ottawa, supported by their new Democrat allies, have unleashed a tidal wave of laws, policies, and political attacks aimed directly at Alberta's free economy, and in effect, against the future and livelihoods of our people. They have blocked new pipelines with C-69, canceled multiple oil and gas projects, and banned the very tanker ships needed to carry those resources to new markets. They have stacked an oil and gas production cap on top of a crippling industrial carbon tax, making new energy and agricultural projects economically impossible to pursue without massive subsidies from governments, which Ottawa has failed to provide and which our taxpayers cannot afford. This onslaught of anti-energy, anti-agriculture, and anti-resource development policies have scared away global investments to the tune of $500 billion, driving those investments and jobs out of Alberta and Canada to much more attractive investment climates in the United States, Asia, and the Middle East. Having traveled much of the world these past few years, it is evident that Canada is not viewed as an attractive place to invest in resource development, manufacturing, or agriculture because of our high carbon taxes, endless red tape, and the uncertainty and chaos brought about by these and other federal government policies. As a result, Canada has fallen to dead last in economic growth among industrialized nations. The world looks at us like we've lost our minds. We have the most abundant and accessible natural resources of any country on earth, and yet we landlock them, sell what we do produce to a single customer to the south of us, while enabling polluting dictatorships to eat our lunch. For Albertans, these attacks on our province by our own federal government have become unbearable. As I said, these policies have cost Albertans roughly $500 billion in investment, and that loss is growing daily. It has and will continue to cost hundreds of thousands of jobs, robbing countless Albertans and other Canadians of their means of providing for their families. It has cost us a decade of opportunities and tens of billions in lost royalties that could have been invested in the health, education, infrastructure, and social services Albertans and Canadians need. And what's worse, Ottawa continues onward with more destructive policies. They've imposed net zero mandates on our natural gas-based power grid, causing investment in reliable generation from natural gas to flee, thereby endangering the future stability of our power grid and risking future blackouts and spikes in electricity costs for Alberta families and businesses. They've attacked our food producers with methane taxes, onerous regulations on fertilizer, electric vehicle mandates, and many other destructive policies that have hiked costs on our farmers and ranchers and driven billions of dollars of investment in agriculture elsewhere. They've interfered in provincial jurisdiction time and again, from taking over the regulation of plastics to mandating how we operate childcare, healthcare, and dental care, to harassing law-abiding firearms owners, to dozens of other examples of unconstitutional interference. And of course, Alberta has fought back. We always have and always will. We passed the Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act and have invoked it twice to protect Albertans as best we can from the effects of the net zero electricity regulations and the energy production cap. We beat the feds in court on both the No New Pipelines Law, C-69, and their attempt to regulate plastics, though they have ignored both court decisions to this point. And we have just announced a court challenge on the net zero electricity regulations and are further preparing to also challenge the energy production cap. We continue to do all in our power to counteract Ottawa's chill on investment in energy, agriculture, and our other job sectors through various tax cuts and incentive programs, which greatly strain the provincial budget. We have fought these attacks from Ottawa furiously, and have won some important battles, but the lost opportunities, jobs, and futures of so many Albertans are costly and demoralizing, as are the growing number of Eastern politicians who choose to openly demonize and target Alberta for political gain. That is why a large majority of Albertans are so deeply frustrated with the results of last week's federal election. It's not that our preferred candidate and party lost. That happens in a democracy. It's that the same Liberal government with almost all the same ministers responsible for our nation's inflation, housing, crime, and budget crisis, and that oversaw the attack on our provincial economy for the past 10 years, have been returned to power. Now, as we all know, one thing has changed. We have a new Prime Minister. And I will say that in my first conversation with him since the election, he had some promising things to say about changing the direction of his government's anti-resource policies. However, Albertans are more of a actions speak louder than words kind of people. So while I will in good faith work with Prime Minister Mark Carney on unwinding the mountain of destructive legislation and policies that have ravaged our provincial and national economies this past decade, until I see tangible proof of real change, Alberta will be taking steps to better protect ourselves from Ottawa. As a start, I will soon appoint a special negotiating team to represent our province in negotiations with the federal government on the following reforms requested by our province. We hope this will result in a binding agreement that Albertans can have confidence in. Call it an Alberta Accord, if you will. First, Alberta requires guaranteed corridor and port access to tidewater off the Pacific, Arctic, and Atlantic coasts for the international export of Alberta oil, gas, critical minerals, and other resources in amounts supported by the free market rather than by the dictates and whims of Ottawa. Every province in the country, other than Alberta and Saskatchewan, have coastal port access, and no province needs it more given the size and value of our resources. This will benefit all Canadians to the tune of trillions of dollars of economic activity, including billions for First Nations partners. Second, the federal government must end all federal interference in the development of provincial resources by repealing the No New Pipelines Law, C-69, the oil tanker ban, the net zero electricity regulations, the oil and gas emissions cap, the net zero vehicle mandate, and any federal law or regulation that purports to regulate industrial carbon emissions, plastics, or the commercial free speech of energy companies. These laws are destroying investment confidence and costing Canada and Alberta hundreds of billions in investments each year. They need to go. Third, the federal government must refrain from imposing export taxes or restrictions on the export of Alberta resources without the consent of the government of Alberta. Frankly, all provinces should be given that same respect for their resources. And fourth, the federal government must provide to Alberta the same per capita federal transfers and equalization as is received by the other three largest provinces, Quebec, Ontario, and British Columbia. We have no issue with Alberta continuing to subsidize smaller provinces with their needs, but there is no excuse for such large and powerful economies like Ontario, Quebec, BC, or Alberta to be subsidizing one another. That was never the intent of equalization, and it needs to end. If these points can be agreed to by the federal government, I am convinced it will not only make Alberta and Canada an infinitely stronger and more prosperous country, but will eliminate the doubts a growing number of Albertans feel about the future of Alberta in Canada. While these negotiations with Ottawa are ongoing, our government will appoint, and I will chair, the Alberta Next panel. This panel will be composed of some of our best and brightest judicial, academic, and economic minds to join with me in a series of in-person and online town halls to discuss Alberta's future in Canada, and specifically, what next steps we can take as a province to better protect Alberta from any current or future hostile policies of the federal government. Details of the membership and scope of that panel will be released in the coming weeks. After the work of the panel is finished, it is likely we will place some of the more popular ideas discussed with the panel to a provincial referendum so that all Albertans can vote on them sometime in 2026. To be clear from the outset, our government will not be putting a vote on separation from Canada on the referendum ballot. However, If there is a successful citizen-led referendum petition that is able to gather the requisite number of signatures requesting such a question to be put on a referendum, our government will respect the democratic process and include that question on the 2026 provincial referendum ballot as well. I also want to state unequivocally that as Premier, I'm entirely committed to protecting, upholding, and honoring the inherent rights of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Therefore, any citizen-initiated referendum question must not violate the constitutional rights of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and must uphold and honor Treaties 6, 7, and 8 should any referendum question ever pass. This is non-negotiable. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, that being separation. We are well aware that there is a large and growing number of Albertans that have lost hope in Alberta having a free and prosperous future as a part of Canada. Many of these Albertans are organizing petitions to trigger a citizen-initiated referendum, as I mentioned earlier. The vast majority of these individuals are not fringe voices to be marginalized or vilified. They are loyal Albertans. They are quite literally our friends and neighbors who've just had enough of having their livelihoods and prosperity attacked by a hostile federal government. They're frustrated, and they have every reason to be. I want to talk directly to those Albertans. I know how frustrated so many of you have become with our country and the feeling of having politicians living thousands of miles away, passing laws and rules that have cost you your loved ones, jobs, careers, dreams, and opportunities for a brighter future. As most Albertans know, I have repeatedly stated I do not support Alberta separating from Canada. I personally still have hope that there is a path forward for a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. And let me explain a few reasons why. First, Alberta already has and can continue to use the Alberta Sovereignty within a United Canada Act and other measures to fight through much of Ottawa's damaging interference and prosper in spite of it. We will also continue our successful battles against these unconstitutional and damaging policies in both the courts of law and public opinion. And there is more to be hopeful for. This past election demonstrated that attitudes across the country, especially among young people, are changing with respect to understanding the importance of free markets and the development of our natural resources. People are pushing back against government censorship and cancel culture. More and more Canadians understand that in order for Canada to play a role in ending conflict and poverty at home and abroad, our country must become strong again. And we can only do that by becoming an energy and economic superpower using the vast and unmatched energy, mineral resources, and fertile lands of our country. 85% of Canadians in this last election voted for the two leaders promising to turn Canada into an energy superpower and to build resource corridors, including for oil and gas, while only 13% voted for the fringe voices in the Socialist NDP and Bloc parties and their extremist leave-it-in-the-ground policies. Obviously, we have a ways to go, and it will take a lot of work to undo the damage caused by these last 10 years of Liberal NDP rule. But that clear change in public opinion gives me hope. I think it should give all Albertans hope. Now, none of us knows what the future holds should Ottawa, for whatever reason, continue to attack our province, as they have done over the last decade. Ultimately, that will be for Albertans to decide, and I will accept their judgment. But I am going to do everything within my power to negotiate a fair deal for Alberta with the new Prime Minister. And while doing so, our government will work with Albertans on various initiatives to better protect Alberta's provincial sovereignty and economy from Ottawa should those negotiations fail and the economic attacks continue. Alberta didn't start this fight, but rest assured we will finish it and come out of it stronger and more prosperous than ever. In closing, I want Albertans to know how important it will be in the coming months for our province to be steadfast, unified, and to refrain from heeding the voices of those seeking to divide Albertans against one another. There will be many outside and even inside this province who will try and sow fear and anger among us. They will seek to divide us into different camps for the purposes of marginalizing and vilifying one another based on differing opinions, effectively pitting neighbor against neighbor and Albertan against Albertan. This is not the Alberta way. It's not who we are, and it's not who I am. There are thousands of Albertans who are so frustrated with the last 10 years of Ottawa's attacks on their friends' and families' livelihoods that they feel Alberta would be stronger and more prosperous as an independent nation. That is an understandable and justifiable feeling to have, even if we disagree on what to do about it. These Albertans are not traitors, nor should they ever be treated as such. They just love their province and family and want a better future than the one Ottawa is offering them right now. There are also thousands of Albertans that are so attached and loyal to their identity as Canadians that there is nothing Ottawa has done to our province that would justify Alberta leaving Canada. It's not that they think everything is perfect or that we've been treated fairly. They just believe being part of Canada, despite those problems, has much more value than leaving. These individuals are also loyal Albertans and should never be accused of being anything less. And then there are hundreds of thousands of Albertans that probably feel a lot like I do, that are deeply frustrated with the way our province has been mistreated and damaged by successive federal Liberal governments, and are not willing to tolerate the status quo any longer. But these Albertans still believe there is a viable path to a strong, free, and sovereign Alberta empowered to succeed and prosper within a united Canada. A Canada where the federal government actually honors the Constitution, upholds provincial rights, and empowers provinces to pursue their unique potentials as their people so choose. Regardless of what each of us believes about this issue or what path we think is best, we as Albertans must be able to respectfully debate and discuss these issues with our friends, family members, and neighbors. I know that if we do that, in the end, our province will find the best solution for this immense challenge we face and come out of it stronger and more free than ever. I'll always put my faith in Albertans to find the right path. I trust you. May our beautiful Alberta always remain forever strong and free.
Okay, so that happened. She did it. She did what I didn't think she could do. I really don't see how that statement could upset either side of her base. I'll tip my hat to her. People are saying, I keep seeing it in the chat, sell out. Let's talk a little bit about what she said, because if you really, so what I was doing was trying really hard to listen to the structure of what she was saying, the words being used, and you'll notice a few things were done there. Let's first talk about 2026 and a ballot. If you've watched the videos I've been doing up until now, I've noted that the Alberta Prosperity Project, as well as others that are trying to gather signatures, they're trying to plan out a course to separation. What you see here is Danielle giving a timeline saying, get organized. If you can get those signatures by that time, which keep in mind, folks, we've already got committed signatures, then it will be on a 2026 ballot. So what she is telling those who oppose separation is, hey, we have to be democratic. If they get the signatures, we have to honor it. We have to have it to a referendum. We have to vote. So they have between now and 2026 to get people on board, to get those people ready to go. She has also stated that actions will speak louder than words. So what she has also done is put a time limit on Mark Carney and the Liberal government. This is very smart. She has said that she has an issue with giving equalization to Quebec, that she doesn't believe we owe them that money. So what she's given Carney is a limited time to get his shit together, pardon my French, and to do something that benefits Alberta, that we have no problem sharing money with smaller provinces, but Quebec, it shouldn't happen anymore. Once we turn off the taps on that, she's also asked for a pipeline, keep in mind, to the east, which they have said no to. So what she's actually done, without openly promoting it, is promoting the reasons for separation. She's getting more Albertans on board that may be split. So over the next couple of months, because keep in mind, again, the federal government, as I said earlier, they're going to come back for a few weeks and then go on summer vacation. So when they come back after summer vacation, they have but a few months to organize a pipeline in Alberta. Or else Danielle Smith's putting on a ballot, should Alberta leave? Now, for all the Albertans who are on the fence, for all the people who are sitting back saying, I don't want to go, I love Canada, we got to find a way to work with the federal government. If in those few months they see that it's just same old song and dance, that Mark Carney's not going to work with us, that Quebec says we have no use for their oil, for their energy, we're not going to bring it to Eastern Canada, then all of a sudden, guess what, folks? You now have a handful of other people ready to sign yes on separation because they won't see any other way out of this. She just did what I didn't think was possible. There are people who say they don't get what's going on, or she's selling out to Canada by working with the Carney government. She's not. She's just thrown their hypocrisy back in their face. She's giving Alberta Prosperity the time to get things together, the time to get organized, the time to get their numbers that they need, while also using the government as a tool to boost the votes for referendum without directly supporting it. Now, I do agree, as I said at the beginning of the stream, and as many of you said in the chat, she cannot openly promote separation from Canada. But what she just did was quietly support separation. You'll notice at the end, again, the very careful words she used. I trust Albertans, and I trust you'll make the right choice. She mentioned prosperity. She mentioned our prosperity moving forward. She knows as well as the rest of us that that means without the federal government. This is a win on so many angles. I really thought, and call me a what is it, a doom scroller or whatever you want to call it. I thought we were going to have ourselves leaving this press conference going, wow, okay, well, now people are going to be calling for her head. Did you guys hear the comments she made about the NDP? Did you hear what she called them, saying that people didn't vote for radical NDPs? She just shut up Naheed Nenshi. Now that guy's going to be fuming, and guess what? He'll be outside the legislature talking about it because he doesn't have a seat. In fact, he's distancing himself from the federal NDP now, saying, well, we're NDP, but we're a separate party of the NDP now. I'll have a story about that coming up. Things just got real in Alberta. So for anybody who thought that this was going to die out or go away, this just fueled the fire for separation. And Mark Carney, you'll notice, hasn't said a damn thing about what's happening in Alberta. MP Blanchette. I was going to say Legault, but Premier Legault, Blanchette, they don't want to work with Alberta. They just want our money. And they have said they have no interest in a pipeline. We're not going to get a pipeline, guys. It's not going to happen. Many people said that Danielle saying 2026 is red tape. We want it now. We don't want it now. It will be, if you look at what happened on the weekend, and again, people were telling me based off my video when I said we shouldn't have done that rally at the legislature. Why? Because it was a smaller group of people. There was short notice. They were ill prepared. You want to go when you have high numbers, when you can really send a message that, holy shit, Albertans are fed up. They're done. Think about the Freedom Convoy for a second. If 100 trucks showed up in Ottawa, they would have said, see, guys, it's just some truckers. They're just here causing a fuss, a stink. Granted, they were able to get it done very quickly. But when you look at the magnitude of what actually showed up in Ottawa, the government had to pull out the Emergency Act. They were shaken in their boots at the sheer magnitude of how many people came to support freedom. This is going to be that. I have a feeling this is going to be that. As I said in today's video, one way or another, folks, we're getting the question. We're getting the vote. Get excited, especially if you're in Alberta. We're going to be allowed the option to decide. We already have guaranteed signatures to push the question. Now it's a matter of, with the time we have, how prepared can we be? How do we convince those who aren't with us? And how do we execute it precisely so that on our one shot, we get our opportunity to get away from this terrible federal government once and for all? We're in it now, folks. I'm very excited. See, Scotty saying I'm excited. I'm stuck in Ontario. It's I really don't know what else to say because it's so amazing. It's absolutely amazing what she just did because I didn't think it was possible. I'll tell you right now, I will be reaching out to her people and her as well to see if I can get her on the show at some point soon to talk about this. At least maybe give a little bit more of a bump as to where we're as to where we're headed. I love my premier. I absolutely love my premier. This is now, and again, I'm not trying to push anybody the wrong way, but how do you think the federal election would have wound out if Pierre would have spoke like this? You think we would have seen something different in the House of Commons? I don't. I don't. But at least we would have seen somebody showing teeth. This is what I talked about with Pierre for months. Show some teeth. And people say, well, they got to play it safe. They got to watch. Danielle just showed you can play both sides of the fence accurately. And as long as we all have an understanding as to what's in play here and what's being done, people will get it. This is what Pierre had to do to win the election. Convince the West that I got your back while also convincing the East. Listen, I'll take care of Trump, but we're not going to focus on Trump. We're going to focus on our country. We're going to focus on all the crazy things going on here that you guys need to get rid of. But Trump will be nothing more than a name by the time I'm finished with him. That's the way it should have gone. Fence sitting and playing it safe doesn't get you anywhere. So somebody should call up Jenny Burns' office and tell her this is why you should have been fired months ago from Pierre's campaign. This is why all your little handlers should have been fired months ago from Pierre's campaign. You guys don't know shit about politics. And that's why he has to run a by-election now. Because they thought sitting on Trudeau and playing it safe was going to get them the election. I have a ton of super chats to get to. Let's get to those. Free men die free. You can't comply your way to tyranny. I see all of this talk about separating now that you have. If it fails, they'll seek to stomp you down hard. The real conversation is about how brave all of you will be. I know I hit that one earlier. I gotta figure out where we're missing here. Noel, I got. I think this is where we have to start. Lord Samuel with a $5 super chat. I can't wait to see the shit show at the throne speech on the 27th. Oh, wait, I think I got that one. We talked about the First Nations. Okay, this is where we are. Free men die free. $10 super chat. First Nation treaties aren't suicide pacts. Canadians should really read the U.S. Declaration of Independence. When the government becomes hostile to your life, liberty, and property, gloves come off. I'm not sure if it really transitions into Canada, but again, these constitutional lawyers know what they're talking about. Again, they wouldn't have started up what they're starting up had they have known that, hey guys, we're gonna cause all this divisiveness. We're gonna get people angry while we're pushing for a better Alberta, and there's really nothing that can be done. But let's waste all our time and energy going into this. Do I know all the rules and the laws up and down? No. But that doesn't mean we're not going to see a positive outcome or that they don't know what they're doing. Noel with another $5 super chat. I would love Big Berta as the 51st stake. All jokes aside, how do people think that Mark Carney can handle Trump when Trump's ego won't let him back down? Well, we did a video on that this morning. Trump still refers to Canada as becoming 51st state. He's not backing down. He doesn't care. Connor with the $10 super chat. American here, but I think you should look into Yuri Bezmanov. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I feel like we should have the same problem in both countries. I feel like Canada has way more useful idiots that enjoy the boot of tyranny. Well, we do. But again, the problem is that the useful idiots who enjoy tyranny are the ones who are in Southern Ontario, the woke mind liberals that continue to vote on DEI and wokeness. They won't vote on actual policy. They vote for silly reasons, and they're in control. We either need electoral reform or we need to get out. It's one of the two, because you're never going to get proper representation. Our bot line, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, $5 super chat. Just a reminder, if you choose the statehood path, you'll be backed by the full might and power of our military. Either way, we will respect your choice. I appreciate that. And again, I think that we need to band with the U.S., not necessarily as a 51st state, but as a partnership, kind of like Puerto Rico did with the United States, where we still remain Albertan, but we work in conjunction essentially with America. I think that that's the best way to get our product to market. I love Americans. I have no problem with Americans. And I hate that the government spat in their faces for the last few months while all they wanted was a fair deal. It's the same thing Alberta's seeking, is a fair deal. Woody with a $5 super chat. I don't trust Carney or the Liberals. That's why I didn't vote for him. Liberals are destroying this country. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for the super chat. Smokeless Choice, $2 super chat. Canada's Orwell's 1984. Time for Alberta to go. I couldn't agree more. Woody, again, $5 super chat. To those who say we are destroying Canada, stop deflecting Liberals' 54 years of abuse. It is not unity. I, again, agree. Free men die free, $5 super chat. Any deal that doesn't involve prison for high-ranking officials connected to the WEF isn't a deal. It's a sales pitch. Separate otherwise. Again, I don't think that Danielle is pushing for us to work with the government. Again, she has to promote diplomacy. She has to, and we knew that going into this, that she was going to try to spin, hey, we got to play nice. We got to toe the line. But she's already putting this on a 2026 ballot. She's doing a ballot no matter what. All she is saying is, the signatures line up. They're getting that question on the ballot as well. So again, like I said in today's video, we're getting a vote one way or another. Pasty George with another $20 super chat. In order for the provinces to separate from the federal government, they would have to negotiate with all of the First Nations in their areas, and then they can negotiate new deals within the federal government together. So my understanding, again, from what Keith Wilson said, is they all come to the table to negotiate, kind of like a divorce. When you're parting out your assets. It's again, I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I've just been watching the interviews. I'd like to get Keith on the channel. I know he's very busy. I talk with him often, so hopefully I can get Keith on here. And now, when I say I talk with him often, I reach out to him often. Again, he's busy. I don't hear back, but I do have a line to Keith. So hopefully I can get Keith to be a little more clear on how that would work. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Fujin to Ragin, $10 super chat. What is the site for signatures on separation? AlbertaProsperityProject.com. If you go to AlbertaProsperityProject.com, not only can you sign to guarantee your signatures, I feel like I'm doing an ad for them. You can get a lot of information on their site as well. A lot of articles, blogs, a lot of information on how this is going to work, how it would work, why it's legal. All of that's on their site. Keith with a $6.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Mr. Roscoe Pecco. I hope, again, I'm pronouncing these right, guys. $5 super chat. All provinces need to leave Ottawa. Every province has a separate bank account, and no province has majority power over another province. I agree with that. Again, but I've also said Alberta never, like Danielle says, we've never had a problem with sharing our prosperity with the rest of the country. We just want to be treated equal. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not hard. We're all Canadians, right? Like it'd be the same if we were part of America. We would want the prosperity of our country. Of course, you share with each other. When you look at a marriage, how many spouses come into the house and say, well, I go to work all day and I make, $3,000 every 2 weeks, but you and the kids can starve because you guys don't work for a living. So I'm only going to give you $300 out of what I make because I don't want to give up my wealth. So you guys can suffer. It's best to share that wealth amongst each other because you're a unit, just like when you're a part of a country. Alberta has never had a problem coming to the table and saying, look, we're allowed to get our product to market. We do our share. Here's a portion of that for you guys to enjoy the prosperity of as well. And Alberta could really grow with Canada as a prosperous nation, not just as Alberta separatists. But if we were allowed to open up pipelines and get our products to market, and you stopped with these wackos cheering about how dirty Alberta oil is, I've talked about it on many other videos over the last 2 years that I've been on YouTube, that we have the safest and cleanest drilling practices in the world. For all of these environmentals, you think that we'd be touting from the rooftops to Saudi Arabia, to other countries that pull up oil, that, hey, you guys should be doing it the way we do it if you really care about the earth. Because we recognize that we have to use these resources, but we're going to do it in the cleanest, safest way possible. In fact, most of the places that we frack in Alberta are left better than when we started digging into the ground in the first place. That's a priority that they take when they do it. Stephen with a $5 super chat. I wonder how many more Chinese overseas police service centers will be established in Alberta over the coming months. None. I don't think we'll get any. I don't think we'll see none. But thank you for the super chat. I hope not, at least. Tartaros with a $2 super chat. Atlantic Canada here. We want pipelines. I thank you. Thank you for this, for the backup. Louise becoming a new member of the Patriots Club. Welcome to the Patriots Club. Fujin to Ragin, $5 super chat. 144,471 registers. We need 33,000 more. Let's get to it. I mean, by 2026, again, we're going to have it. We're going to have it. What Danielle put us on today was a path to say, instead of all this chaos, instead of not knowing where we go or how long we plan, this is a timeline. If you can get it organized by here, I'll entertain it. She's not going to openly promote separatism, but she's going to validate it if we get it moving. This is the time to get organized. This is where I said in my other video the other day, guys like Marty, guys like Jason Levine, all these guys having a dick measuring contest on social media about who should take the charge, who's more influential, who's got the better views for Alberta. Put your differences aside. Shut the hell up. Put your egos in a bloody trunk and lock it. Do what's best for your province, for your possible future nation, your country. Shut the hell up and get to work. And I don't even care if those guys unfollow me. In fact, Marty's already unfollowed me because I hurt his feelings, I guess, when I said that the first time. I don't know. Put your egos aside. I'm doing it. I'm one of the most controversial guys on this platform. I'm shutting the hell up. I'm getting to work. Do the same. Lead by example. Come on, guys. Sunaso Silver, $5 super chat. Danielle Smith just gave Canada a time bomb. But this means Alberta have time to work hard if we want to separate. Be smart, be confident, be patient, Alberta. Absolutely. That is a wonderful super chat. Thank you so much. Red Dragon, $5. Smith for president 2026. Americans deserve the chance to vote for her. Yes, if we could do that, if we ever became a part of the 51st state, then yes, make Danielle the next president. She could replace Trump any day. Absolutely. Carnage Carney, $2 super chat. Get that thumbs up for 2,000 people. I'm assuming he's going to do a membership giveaway. Get those thumbs ups in there, guys. While we're saying that, I want to talk about his comment earlier today because it was along the lines, don't quote me verbatim, but Carnage Carney put in one that said, for all you guys moving out east from Alberta, don't forget that we're the ones doing all the work. We're the ones who wanted this. So the question is how much do some people deserve it or something along those lines? What he's talking about, I think, essentially are those who are naysayers, who are just going to come out for all the spoils. For those who actually want to get away from the tyrannical government, come on over. If you share the same views, come on over. We want you here. We want a prosperous Alberta. Tusilla. I hope I'm pronouncing that right again. Some of these names, guys. Hi from Quebec. Our stupid government says no pipeline, not the people, really. And that's what I've always said. Anytime I say Quebec, I'm not talking about the people. And I've said that before. I'm always talking about Legault. I'm talking about Blanchette. I'm talking about the corrupt government that thinks they know better than their people. There's good people in Quebec. Very good people. In fact, I know some of them. Absolutely. The people want the same. They don't want to leave. I mean, they had a referendum in the 90s. They said, no, we don't want it. We're part of Canada. Yet their leaders still talk as though they're a sovereign nation. Free men die free, $10 super chat. The U.S. Declaration of Independence isn't a legal document. It's a moral one. Your country of origin is irrelevant. Your laws may be different, but at human level, nobody can really dispute. The Dalndep, I'm assuming that's a misspell. Thank you for the super chat. I agree yes, I agree. But I'm more interested in just getting to work and finding out how do we do it. Instead of debating all the ins and outs and the moralities and that's not to be insulting to the Declaration of Independence, by the way. I still want to find my way to Ottawa one day to take a look at that. Or not Ottawa. God, why do I say that? Washington, D.C. It's because Ottawa's our capital. I'd love to get to Washington, D.C. and see that for myself. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see all of it. I'm a big history buff, and American history has always just really done it for me. Carnage Cardi, $5 super chat. You got to get Keith Wilson on live stream to answer questions. I will do my best. Again, his schedule's kind of all over the place. I've reached out, and sometimes I hear back, sometimes I don't. But I'll see what I can do with Keith. Kebby with a $7 super chat, really wanting to move to Alberta, but I hear Albertans hating on guys from Ontario. Support to Alberta. It's not that they hate on people from Ontario. What they hate on is the Liberals that are moving out. If you noticed in Calgary over the federal election, a lot of Liberals were starting to vote in those areas, and those are people coming in from places like Ontario, from Eastern Canada, that start saying, we're going to bring our politics over here. People are just, they rightfully so, have their backs up. They don't want Alberta to crumble. If you just explain, look, I'm a conservative. I like conservative policies. People will cut you a break. Albertans are great people. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Louis with a $20 super chat. 2026 will give Carney and his Liberal Party time to convince more people to support Alberta separating. I agree with Keith Wilson. We need to move forward carefully, educate people, especially the younger generation. And that is where I'm saying Danielle just gave us a gift today. Huge gift on separation. We need to appreciate it and take it. Anybody saying this is a sellout to the federal government, she's being very strategic. I know at the beginning of this, I asked the question, when do we stop making excuses? I don't think this is an excuse. I think that what she did was so tactful today. She knew what she was doing, and she was very, very precise with how she delivered it. Wonderful job to Danielle. Pasty George, the federal government is currently dealing with lawsuits from many different First Nations because they breached the contractual obligations stated in the different treaties throughout Canada. The FG is losing bad. I wasn't aware of that, but thank you for the $20 super chat. Ingrid with $2 super chat. Don't forget to hit the Fonzie. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Hit it up. Great to see so many people in the stream today. And again, I'm not trying not to just answer super chats, but I got to get caught up, guys. I'm so sorry. I will get to regular chats in a second as soon as I get caught up, because all these came in during the lives or the press address. Jack Ninja, $7 super chat. Instead of sending money to ungrateful East, I'd rather send to improve our Alberta First Nation brothers and sisters' lives after we become independent. So again, I think that could be part of the deal, right? When we all come to the table, if they say, well, we want to remain on Canadian land. Okay, but if you change your mind, here's what we're prepared to offer you. If you're sick and tired of how you're treated by the Canadian government, maybe you just become part of the Alberta government. Here's what we'll offer you. Here's what we'll give you. Coming in on the ground floor. Maple Kitty with a $2.79 super chat. Danny basically said the piggy bank is locked up. Absolutely. She did a fantastic job. Again, thank you to everybody who's been hanging out in the chat while I get through that business. Let's I mean, I always love, where is it? I love comments like that. We don't need your oil. Okay, well then we'll just turn off the taps. We'll just go outside to your house if you have natural gas right now and turn it to off. Don't put fuel in your car. Don't use your cell phone. Don't use your computers, your tablets, your TVs, anything that's a byproduct of oil. Don't use any of that stuff and tell me you're perfectly fine living your life, because I guarantee you, you'll be back on your phone or whatever your device is coming on here to tell me, okay, I actually need some of this stuff. To say we don't need oil is the silliest statement of all time. Of course we need oil. But once we come up with something that's a good replacement for it, an actually solid replacement for oil, absolutely we should move on to those things. But those things take time. We didn't discover nuclear energy overnight. It takes time, research, development. And when we get there, absolutely we turn around. But in the meantime, let's just be responsible with how we use it. And if you still don't want our oil, that's okay. You don't have to take it. You don't have to. But shut all your stuff off and get rid of your oil byproduct stuff. And tell me you're okay with that. We also have uranium. Absolutely. We could go nuclear in this country. There's a lot of different things we could do, but uranium doesn't power vehicles unless, of course, you've got a DeLorean and you're trying to harness, or no, that's plutonium, not uranium, but plutonium. I was going to say you got to harness those 1.21 gigawatts. Jay Peterson with a $20 super chat. If the federal government doesn't reverse course before the end of this short session, on the court cases they already have lost. That should tell the entire story. I agree, and thank you. So again, by Danielle putting a 2026 timestamp on this, she's giving a very limited window. As she said, actions are going to speak louder than words with the Carney government. You either do what I'm asking you to, or we go back to the table, which means we're going to start entertaining separate the word I used. A lot of people thought I didn't know English when I say separatization. That was a poke. I've used that on stream before. Kind of like Trump says "kafifi." It was a stab at like a nothing word, but when she talks about separation will be back on the table if that's the case. The Stouffer dude with a $5 super chat from Manitoba. My business contacts end in October, and I haven't renewed. I'll be closing down, selling the house, and on the way to start up there. Happy to hear that. Welcome out to Alberta. Mad RX7. No more welfare payments to Eastern Canada. I agree. Unless they want to get on board and work with us. If they said, sure, okay, we'll put through a pipeline. All right, well, then you get your fair share. Joe, $5 super chat. If you become the 51st state, there will be no going back. You'll have to pay federal tax and swap the Canadian bureaucracy with the American bureaucracy. Yeah, but we'd also pay less taxes. We'd be allowed to have no emissions caps on our oil. We'd be able to stay employed. Food would cost less. Gas would cost less. Electricity would cost less. Essentially, like what we're all talking about here isn't about, well, we just want our own space. We just don't want to be Canadian anymore because we just hate Canada. What we're talking about is the reason people are fed up is because the government has abused us for too long. They've turned us into battery farms. Go work your 3 jobs and just get by. Never be able to save. Never be able to invest. Never be able to put some money away for a rainy day. You're going to work for us while we jet set around the world and have expensive, lavish parties. We give billions of dollars to our friends, all while you sit down, stay in your house, go nowhere, have no life, never meet anybody, never reproduce, never buy a home. All while you're under lock and key, by the way, hoping somebody from another country doesn't break into your house and steal what little you have. That's what people are fed up with. It's not about paying. It's not about taxes. It's about abuse. We're done being abused. Pasty George, thank you. Another super chat. Many First Nations don't want pipelines going through their lands because of the tar sands tailing pond ruptures that spilled millions of liters of toxic water into their lands. They are afraid. So this is a good time. I agree with that. This is a good time to get people educated. Again, if Alberta were to put a question on a ballot and sit at the table with the First Nations, with the government, and say to the First Nations, we're prepared to give you a profit share of that oil. We're prepared to make you filthy, stinking rich. We're talking Saudi Arabia money. Do you think they're going to say we're worried about a rupture? Or do you think they're going to say we need some reassurances to make sure this is all going to work out well for us? That if there is a rupture, it's cleaned up, it's handled, it's taken care of. Because keep in mind, anytime those ruptures have happened, it's been on the Canadian government to fix those ruptures, not an Albertan one. And if deals are put in place, I don't see why we can't get people on the table to say, yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad deal. Pipeline is the safest, most efficient way to transport oil. Do ruptures happen? Of course they do. But so do train derailments. Do we need to talk about La Mégantic again? A lot of people got hurt in that. You can't replace lives. You can clean up an oil spill. Is it dirty? Does it kill wildlife? Yes, absolutely. That's why you want to do it as efficient as possible. I'm living in the U.S. for my grad degree and can say healthcare is better here. So what a lot of people get confused with the U.S. That's just like separatization by education. Education, separatization. David saying, why do you have an empty Pepsi bottle on display? It's not empty. It's full. That's Crystal Pepsi. That's an old. Did you ever see that in the 90s? Crystal Pepsi? Somebody gave me that. It's full. It sits on my shelf. It's so old, I'm not opening it. It's it's full. God, I miss Crystal Pepsi. That stuff was awesome. What a lot of people miss about healthcare is they say, well, there's free healthcare in Canada. No, there's not. When you're paying almost 50% of your wages to tax, a lot of that's going to healthcare. A lot of that's going to pay for the healthcare. It pays the doctors through provincial healthcare systems. Versus the US, you can get insurance. You can get insurance, you can get coverage. Yes, some things cost money, but when you're not taxed as much and you can tuck some money away for when those upsets happen or those bad things happen, it really balances out to either being almost the same that you pay or a little bit cheaper in the US. Again, I've got family that lives in the US. We've compared notes. We've talked numbers. There's always misconceptions, but this again is the same reason why I'm grateful Danielle gave us the time to continue being abused by our federal government. I'm almost feel weird saying that, but this is why we get to educate people now. When Carney gives us a bend over, Alberta Prosperity gets to come in and say, well, see, this is why you want to separate. Now, here's the facts. Here's the numbers. Here's why it would be beneficial for us. And then all the people who are going to continue seeing that we're going to have buyer's remorse with Mark Carney, that the East really doesn't care about conservative values. They're always going to keep voting in these moronic liberals. You're going to start garnering support for separation. That said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of you who came out for today's live stream. I want to thank Carnage Carney, who just gifted 5 unacceptable Fringe memberships to the Patriots Club. Thank you so much. Welcome to all 5 of our new Patriots. If you haven't joined the Patriots Club yet, it's the join button right below after you hit subscribe. If you're supporting the channel by being a member of the Patriots Club, every month, final stream of the month, and sometimes for fun, we do giveaways. We do a giveaway where one lucky Patriots Club member gets to choose any item from our shop free of charge. Could be a hoodie, could be a hat, t-shirt, mug, whatever you want. Just by supporting us. It supports the channel and it puts you in a lottery to win something. And once somebody wins something, they go to the back of the line. So your chances are always growing. So welcome to all 5 of our new Patriots Club members. Again, we'll be doing that draw final Friday night stream of every month. And again, sometimes just when I'm feeling like doing it, we do a live giveaway. So join the Patriots Club, support the channel. Pasty George, another $10 super chat. Many First Nations don't want pipelines going through their lands. Oh, we got that one. We got that one. It was this other one by Pasty George I missed. I think they would need guaranteed assurances for pipelines being put through their lands. The land is very sacred to them. I don't disagree, and I don't think that it couldn't happen. Again, it would be Alberta negotiating it, not the Canadian government. And again, I'll go back to Rath's comment earlier where he said the Canadian government is treating our First Nations worse than they're treating Albertans. He recognizes that. He's been fighting for their rights. I'm pretty sure that if they went to the table, he would have proper offers on the table that suit their needs, that address their sacred land. What a knockout from Danielle. Thank you for everybody who's joining us. Thank you for everybody who's joined us recently, who's recently joined the channel and been here from the beginning. It's so humbling to think that we're going to hit 100,000 subscribers possibly this week at the pace that we're going. So thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in to watch our videos as well. Make sure to join me live Friday night on the channel for Friday Night Fringe with Mrs. Fringe. It's going to be an awesome show this week. We're going to have a lot to talk about, especially with this happening this week. Make sure to stay tuned every day, all week long. Multiple videos coming out for you guys. We got a lot to talk about this week already. Tune in every morning and afternoon. There's new videos dropping here on the channel. Make sure to leave a comment and then give a thumbs up and a like. Do all that YouTube jazz. And thanks to everybody who came out for the live stream today. It was my sincere pleasure to sit and chat with you guys and take you through this statement from Danielle Smith and analyze and break down, even if I was a little pushy with my opinions on things. I think that's where we need to be these days. And I want to thank again everybody who came out. Have a great rest of your week, folks. Don't forget this Saturday in Edmonton. If you're in the Edmonton area, Mrs. Fringe and I will be doing a live meet and greet. Hudson's, West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street. Hudson's will be there at 7 p.m. this Saturday, May 10th. From 7 till roughly about 9 p.m. We're going to be signing any books that you bring there of mine that you want signed. I'll have some there for sale. Again, $20 cash per book signed. All proceeds will be going to helping Tamara Leach with her appeal for her mischief charges. So again, I will be donating that cash. Again, we raised almost $3,000 last month for Tamara and Chris. So that was amazing from you guys. So make sure to join us there. If you have books of your own you're bringing, they'll be signed free of charge. We'll be doing selfies, answering questions, hanging out with you guys, drinking booze, having a good time. Join us Saturday again, 7 p.m. Hudson's, West Edmonton Mall, Bourbon Street. I look forward to meeting our great community members there. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your week. Look after each other. Keep your stick on the ice. Don't just have a great night. Have a Canadian night. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.